Hey, hello guys.
Hi guys.
This is Shtukense
Hello, I'm from Russian Beauty channel.
and I'm Russian Bear.
Hi Russian Bed.
Today we will continue our talk about computer technologies and we will discuss Windows operation system versus Linux operation system. We would compare them and discuss it because we are using both of them.
So I have a first question for you.
But let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Did you try Linux?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and Shtukense at her channel she got even tutorial about Linux. You fixed some problems recently.
Yes, yesterday I fixed the problem with accessing 64 gigabyte card from my Linux
So,
system.
Actually, we have two notebooks with Linux,
Yeah.
one notebook with Windows, and two desktop computers with Windows.
So basically we are 50-50 users
Yeah.
of Windows and Linux.
So we're using both.
And we're using both systems for a very long time, so we can compare it.
Let's start.
Okay.
First, let's compare advantages and disadvantages, or let's compare just usability or.
Let's compare in general.
general.
What do you like more, Windows or Linux, and why?
I like different systems for different tasks.
Okay, so explain please.
Yeah, for example, if I wanna to play games, it's sometimes hard to find game which works at Linux. Nowadays, more and more games they are ported to Linux, but actually it's not easy. So if I want to be safe while I am surfing in the internet, it's better to use Linux because most of the viruses, most of malware, it's developed for Windows, not for Linux. So
see.
if you're using Linux, it's very small chance that you would have some viruses, trojans, problems. So different tasks, different operation systems, of course.
So if you ask me
Yeah.
what I prefer, I actually at my main computer I prefer Windows for now because Windows is more comfortable, is more easy.
It's like usability.
Is usability. It's just 100% more easy and usable because I use Photoshop, I use programs such as Adobe Premiere and a lot of other stuff for my work that I need, and it's easy to work on Windows.
But maybe it's because you just get used to Windows.
No, just because Windows made for a lot of people, and it's easy, like
But look,
iPhone.
You started to using Windows at the end of at 95, I think. Do you
Yeah,
remember Windows
yes.
95?
I remember.
I also used
Yeah.
it. Then we used Windows 98,
Yeah.
then
To
2000. So we're using Windows for 20 years. That's why we get used to it. And that's
I
why
see.
Linux, it feels like, because we're using Linux, I use maybe for 5 years. You're using for maybe 2 years. So you.
Yes, I agree. It's about what you get used to, but also it's about general idea. General idea of Windows is to be easy for,
Everything easy.
for user.
Plug and play.
Yes, it's just easy. You just one button, everything
Yeah.
works, and no problem.
For example, sometimes I have a notebook
Yeah.
and sometimes even to find right driver for your wireless adapter, for Wi-Fi adapter, I spent for it I think 2 hours and I didn't success. I need to look for more.
And that's why I think Windows is just easy, and
Yeah,
I
it's
prefer
easy.
it. But sometimes I like to work on Linux, and why?
Why?
Because Linux is something like, very, very nice, and like you have a cute cat.
Like a cute kitten.
Yeah, cute kitten. So it's so nice, and you just can type something, everything you can find online. So if you have internet, you can find all these things that you have to type. It's like old style game,
Yeah, it's also a game, and also Linux. I think it's all about Google. I
Yeah.
mean, if you have a problem in Linux, you would have problems, of course. But to solve it, you just need to Google it, and that's it. Google,
and everything there,
read the freaking manual, and all problems solved.
and it's easy to solve any problem.
Not easy, maybe, but it's possible.
It's possible. You find solutions. You find, if you know English, so you just type and find everything.
But you know, at first Linux, it even didn't had graphical
it was suck.
environment.
It was suck, I guess.
It was just terminal, and that's it. And now Linux has graphics. Almost every distributive, even you could find different graphic оболочку, graphical wrappers. Yeah. So now Linux actually it's very close to Windows in usability it's very close. Even Photoshop you could use GIMP, for example, Giant. There are a lot of video editors, but actually I like Adobe Premiere also. In most time I work in Windows personally, because most of the programs I get used to it. I get used to Photoshop, I get used to Premiere.
And how do you think all this, if we talk about Windows and Linux, what the core idea or philosophy of this systems? So for which type of person these different systems?
Actually, Windows, of course, Windows it's operation system for a person who just look at his personal computer as a tool. So very simple tool like a hammer. So Windows PC it's like a hammer, very simple and effective and okay. And Linux it's like spaceship. So you could customize so much stuff there. You could plug in everything. What do you want? Windows it's like a bicycle, and Linux it's like a spaceship. But actually, sometimes, of course, it's much easier and more comfortable to use bicycle than spaceship. If I want to go to the shop, I do not want to use spaceship for it. I just want to take a bicycle and ride to the shop. But actually, if I think that if I have something ambitious task, you could customize your Linux. For example, Arch Linux, distributive Arch Linux. It's one of the most interesting, most customizable. You could do whatever you want with it.
And what about disadvantages in Windows and Linux? What is the main?
In Windows, main disadvantage, I think, it's safety. Because I think in Windows 7, Windows 10, it's a bit better. Because there are also these restrictions. You have to, for every task which is important, you have to run it as administrator. So it's philosophy that they took it from Linux. So Windows developers, they took some stuff from Linux. But still, it's very big hole. And Linux, especially if it's good customized system, it's very safe. But in Linux, it's very hard sometimes to find drivers. It's not hard to find. It's smaller amount of software, of course, for Linux. But most of software for Linux is free. It's the advantage, because Windows you have to pay. You have to pay for almost everything. Right now, Windows 10, for example, there are systems. If previously some people they used piracy software, in last Windows it's like much harder to do. And in Linux, people who use Linux, they do not need it, because not much proprietary software around there. So actually Linux, of course, it has huge advantages. And also I feel it like a pet. When I use Linux, I have big joy in it. When I use Windows, I just use it like a tool. So when I'm in Linux, it's like special feeling that I'm doing something special. It's like magic. When I'm in Windows, it's like okay, let's take another nail, Oh, sorry. I spit on you. Okay. So, guys, tell us, do you like Linux? Do you like Windows? Let's compare these two systems. Did you try Linux? Did you try Windows? Maybe you are a Mac OS user. I used Mac OS, I think, maybe 5 times in my life.
But you used Apple,
Yeah,
iPhone.
I have iPhone, but actually Mac OS, it's very special also thing. I think we need to learn it actually, just for education.
Yeah,
and to
but
tell-
I never tried it actually.
We would try it one day and we would compare also Windows, Linux and Mac OS, why not? So guys,
there are basically three operation systems.
3 main operation systems, but actually there are more because there are system for servers, for example, it's special. So there are much more. Actually, operation systems, it's like dozens of them, but
see.
most of them they are not really popular. They made only for special purposes, for example, for airplanes or something like this.
So guys, if you like us to talk more about tech stuff, about computers, about programming, about maybe web design or other things, we are a little interested in this.
Yeah, very
also.
modest.
Yeah.
So we would continue our adventures in computer world next time at
Russian
Beauty channel and Russian Bear channel.
So or RB.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.